His Excellency Mr. Gregory Peter Obi is currently receiving a whole lot of unprecedented attacks from the opposition. And of course, Reno Omokri is not left out from that very, unprecedented malicious attack. But you know what? All this attack on the personality of Peter Obi has gone further to confirm a few things. Number one, it continues to remind every Nigerian that truly Peter Obi is supposed to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by all standard. And number two, that Peter Obi himself knows more. And number three, that Peter Obi remains the most popular, the most prominent, and the most credible politician in the Nigerian political hemisphere as far as 21st century is concerned. And finally, the most loved businessman and politician across the Federation. I will give you reasons. Yes. While these men were busy raining attacks on the person of Peter Obi, Peter Obi was at Ijebu land. He went there with Gbadebo to pay condolence to the family of the late His Royal Majesty Oba Sikiru Kayode, the Awujale of Ijebu land. So certainly Peter Obi was engaged as well in another condolence visit. But I no go lie you, Peter Obi is a spirit man. That Baba is spiritual. If you know, you know. Meanwhile, let's begin to take a look at some of the malicious, unprovoked attack on the person of Peter Obi. And as always, I shall begin from that of his closest customer, Reno Omokri. Because if Reno stop attacking and provoking Peter Obi, engagement alala, he will not get traffic and engagement again on his Twitter handle. Because that is the only market where we say in get, where they bring customer coming page. Now, this is what Reno Omokri wrote. He said, what was so important to Peter Obi that he chose not to turn up at Daura for General Mohammadu Buhari's funeral? This was a man who was only yesterday in Ilorin attending the second annual colloquium of Associate Professor Abdulmunin Yinka Ajia, where he gave a speech. I don't want to read all because he made another post. In another post from Reno Omokri, he said, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in Daura from beginning to end, showing his personal devotion to General Mohammadu Buhari and his commitment to the North. Arewa, remember who was not there. In October 19, according to Reno, 2024, during General Gowon's 90th birthday, Peter Obi called him an enemy to be forgiven. His exact words, and today, General Mohammadu Buhari, the successor to Ahmadu Bello, was being buried. Peter Obi was nowhere to be found. In fact, I don't want to read all. He concluded, by saying, Arewa, isn't the handwriting on the wall clear? It is obvious now that a lot is happening in Nigeria. This is a dispensation where campaign for 2027 has just started 2 years before election. Isn't that crazy? Of course it is. Then another of our northern guy man wrote saying, his name is Sarki. He said, Peter Obi did not attend President Mohammadu Buhari's burial. This is the same man who expects northerners to hand over Nigeria to him. Let's see how he plans to become president without our vote. The way this young man is sounding, as if to say na the northerners, na them they give president for inside this country. I saw some other counter comments from many Nigerians who were saying, in fact, that the northerners need their own country. We have seen a lot of videos, even some content creators from the north has publicly said that, obviously, that the northerners need to have a country of their own where they can do their things, in their own way without anybody disturbing them. I don't want to believe that, but it is looking at such, even though I know clearly that it is the wicked politicians of this country that have divided all of us. Yes, they use religion and ethnicity to divide all of us. Then they infiltrated into the church, politicize everything that God teaches us, and then turn religion into a weapon of mass destruction, impoverishing people and make them believe that that is the expectation of God for them to be poor. It's crazy because many are not educated, so they will end up believing that bullshit. And then Prince Adesina wrote, Peter Obi didn't attend President Mohammadu Buhari's burial. Of course, soon he will likely visit Daura to pay his condolence and explain to his gullible supporters that he had flat tires or that his flight was cancelled when he planned to come. In reality, he didn't attend the burial because the obedient court had warned him. No matter the case, even in death, Buhari remains loved. Shame on Peter Obi. These are some of the crazy things we are seeing in the Nigeria of today. Person where they in house, where they own. Where we say Peter Obi was actually on a mission to pay condolence visit somewhere else. And these men are bent on tainting the image of this credible, presidential candidate, who many Nigerians undoubtedly believe that he's supposed to be actually the president of this country. Another person wrote, this one they call him Mayor General Bazu. He said, Peter Obi didn't attend Buhari's burial. And he never said a word, even when he knew his supporters are insulting President Mohammadu Buhari. Yet he wants to become president with the northern vote. The North will remind him in due time. It is very terrible that we have gotten to this level. A lot of people have forgotten that going for condolence visit is only but by choice. Yes. Somebody like me who has prayed for Buhari in my content, in many of my publications, asking the Almighty Allah to rest his soul, is a choice for me. Just as many other Nigerians who felt so offended decided not to mourn him or pray for him. Peter Obi is a public figure, there is no doubt about that. But the young man was busy paying condolence visits, and on a day busy, they throw attack left and right. Like I said, all of these things justifies the fact that Peter Obi is actually supposed to be the president of this country, and that Peter Obi knows small. You know what I mean? And that Peter Obi is truly loved, because now person will be something. Somebody that is truly loved, now they receive all this type of attack all the time. Don't forget that it was the same Peter Obi who made a post, a publication after Buhari had passed on, sympathizing with the family and also commending Buhari for his leadership and all of that. That very post generated over 23,000 comments. That very post. There is no politician that has such a record in Nigeria. This is why I told you that Peter Obi remains the most popular, the most prominent, and the most loved politician in the history of this country. If you check the comment section of that very post, you will see people attack Peter Obi back, left, and right. But that did not stop him from saying what he needed to say. You know what I mean? Having said all of this, it is equally important to establish that if you begin to look at the burial of President Mohammadu Buhari, the type of people that gathered for that very burial, if you begin to look at it from some level of dimension, I don't want to mention those dimensions, you may begin to understand to an extent that just maybe if you are Peter Obi, you may not want to attend that burial. You may choose to go later to pay condolence. These are for some physical and for some spiritual reasons. I don't want to sound too spiritual here or too religious, but you must understand in overall that there are ways that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is destruction. I believe that Peter Obi is a man who has a voice, who has a control over the things he does. He chooses his battle wisely, and that is what makes him a wise man. So at this point, history will be kind to all of us because we stood our ground to say what the truth is. We stood our ground to advocate and crusade for a better Nigeria. That is the only sin we have committed. That is the only sin that Peter Obi has committed by declaring to run for presidency to change the status quo. That is the only sin. But like I said, anybody claiming to be a Christian in Nigeria, claiming to be an Islam, claiming to love God, all those things are conditional service, conditional lip service to God. We don't actually have a lot of true servant and worshippers of God who serve him in spirit and in truth in almost all the religions in Africa, in all the religions in Nigeria. Yes, I can tell you categorically. So all of this, they are masquerading as holy people, righteous people. I don't want to dive into that, but at this point I'll allow you guys to be the judge. Don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment section and share this video. Man, another person, Siam. God bless you.